Have you ever heard a piece of music that just hit you? Not because of the lyrics or a catchy beat, but because it resonated with something deep inside you, something you couldn't quite explain. Today, we're diving into a forgotten story about the soul of sound and a woman whose genius was lost to time, only to be rediscovered decades later. Imagine Vienna in the late 19th century. Gaslight haze, the rhythmic clatter of horse-drawn carriages, Strauss waltzes drifting from grand ballrooms. It was a city that breathed music. But scientifically, sound was understood as pure structure, vibrations, pitch, rhythm. A magnificent mechanism, but just a mechanism. Enter Dr. Silas Thorne, a brilliant musicologist of his time. He stood before packed lecture halls, explaining sound through diagrams of the human ear and waveforms. He championed the empirical method, the idea that sound could be captured, dissected, reproduced. For Thorne, any emotional response to music was a learned association, a cultural conditioning. A major chord sounds happy because we've been taught it does. To suggest otherwise, to him, was pseudo-science. He was a man of his time, believing all phenomena could be reduced to observable data, and this belief would have profound consequences. Now, let's cross the channel to early 20th century London. In a chaotic, soot-stained laboratory, Dr. Elara Vance was grappling with a different kind of energy. Her lab was a symphony of custom-built resonators, tuning forks, and early electrical circuits. Elara, with her brilliant, feverish intelligence, believed sound possessed a soul, an intrinsic ability to evoke profound human emotion through specific, unmapped frequencies and patterns. She theorized emotive frequencies and resonance codes that directly interfaced with the human psyche, bypassing learned associations. Imagine a specific arrangement of pure tones, devoid of melody, reliably triggering a profound sense of melancholy in anyone, regardless of their background. She was charting the universal language of the soul, embedded in sound itself. Her initial papers were met with bewilderment and derision. Dr. Silas Thorne himself penned a scathing review, dismissing her work as pseudo-science and the ramblings of an eccentric. This public humiliation cemented Elara's status as an outcast. The scientific community closed ranks, effectively silencing her. But Elara, heartbroken but resolute, knew the proof lay not in papers, but in direct experience. She retreated, turning her isolation into a crucible of discovery. Elara began secret experiments with a small, diverse group, a melancholic poet, a pragmatic psychologist, and a skeptical artist. One evening, she activated her resonance engine. A pure, sustained tone filled the room, followed by subtle harmonic shifts. No melody, no rhythm, just a carefully constructed soundscape of pure tones and silences. The poet wept. The psychologist felt a distinct chill and profound sadness. The artist described it as seeing the color blue for the first time, but understanding its inherent sadness without knowing why. This was her proof. This was the language she sought to decipher. The pivotal eureka moment came months later. Elara found a damaged wax cylinder, a ghost of a forgotten lullaby. She realized it wasn't about reproducing the notes, but the feeling, the love, the comfort, the quiet hope of a mother's song. Using her emotive frequency mapping, she painstakingly reconstructed not the melody, but its emotional core. Minute frequency shifts, harmonic decays, precise silences, piecing together a shattered mosaic of emotion. When she played her reconstructed lullaby, a tapestry of pure interwoven tones filled the room. It wasn't a traditional song, but a profound sense of comfort, a gentle rocking, a bittersweet longing. Her confidants wept openly. "It was my mother," Dr. Reed whispered. "I felt her embrace, but it wasn't her voice, was it? It was the feeling of her voice." This was undeniable proof of the soul of sound. Elara made one last attempt to present her findings publicly. The audience was moved, but the mainstream scientific establishment, still influenced by Silas Thorne, dismissed her. A fascinating parlor trick, one critic scoffed, but hardly scientific. You have merely tapped into our collective sentimentality. The familiar sting of rejection returned. Heartbroken but resolute, Elara withdrew completely. Her laboratory became her sanctuary, her journals her confidants. She continued her research in secret, believing that one day the world would be ready. Her work became a hidden legacy, a seed planted in the dark, waiting to bloom. The world had learned to dance to her unheard symphony without ever knowing the name of its conductor. Decades later, the world caught up to the effects of Elara's theories, but not the cause or the credit. Think about it. The pulsating techno clubs, the immersive film scores, the jingles designed to trigger desires. Sound engineers intuitively understood that certain soundscapes evoked specific moods, but they lacked the precise emotive frequency mapping Elara had developed. Her influence was a silent, uncredited undercurrent, a ghost in the machine of modern auditory design. And that brings us to me. As an electronic musician, I've always yearned to create music that resonates on a deeper, more authentic emotional level. I'd spend hours in my Berlin apartment, surrounded by synthesizers, layering sounds, but often feeling like something was missing. No, I'd mutter. It's hollow. It's just noise. Where's the feeling? I knew the music I wanted to make existed, a sound that could bypass the intellect and speak directly to the soul. But how to find it? How to build it? This yearning led me to the dusty archives of the Berlin Institute of Sound Studies. I was researching for a music history course, but secretly I was hoping to stumble upon some forgotten genius. And then, deep in the basement, in a section labeled Dismissed and Uncategorized Theories, I found it. A small wooden crate labeled Vance E. Acoustic Experiments and Personal Effects, London circa 1920s. Inside were leather-bound journals, their pages brittle, filled with dense, elegant script. The first page read, Dr. Elara Vance, The Soul of Sound, Emotive Frequency Mapping. I spent the rest of the afternoon poring over them. Elara wrote of resonance codes, harmonic empathy, and the intrinsic emotional architecture of sound. I didn't fully understand the science, but her conviction, her almost spiritual belief in the emotional power of sound resonated deeply with my own artistic struggles. What if she was onto something? I whispered to myself. I began to decipher Elara's principles, translating her complex language into practical musical applications. My music underwent a profound transformation. The hollow feeling receded, replaced by an unprecedented emotional depth. Listeners described feeling deeply moved, experiencing emotions they couldn't quite articulate. My tracks gained a cult following, hailed as a sonic journey into the heart of melancholy or pure, unadulterated joy. I was unknowingly applying a lost science, breathing new life into a legacy. Meanwhile, in London, an elderly retired Dr. Silas Thorne was living a quiet life. His grandniece played him my music. The music that filled his study was unlike anything he had ever heard. It possessed a raw, primal emotional resonance. He heard the echoes of Elara Vance's dismissed theories, the very emotive frequencies he had once ridiculed. A profound sense of shame and regret washed over him. He had dismissed a visionary, silenced a genius. This was his awakening, a truth delivered by the very medium he had once sought to define so narrowly. Driven by atonement, Thorne sought me out. Our first meeting was tense, but his sincerity, his raw remorse convinced me. He admitted his profound error, his public ridicule of Elara. He told me I was wrong, Miss Sharma, profoundly, tragically wrong. And just like that, an unlikely alliance was formed. Our shared purpose? To fully unearth Elara's legacy, decipher the remaining journals, and bring her groundbreaking work, The Soul of Sound, to the world, giving her the posthumous recognition she deserves. It's a fusion of past and present, science and art, united by the ghost of a forgotten genius. This story of Elara Vance, The Soul of Sound, is just beginning. If you found this journey as fascinating as I did, please like this video and subscribe for more stories of forgotten innovators and the power of music. And share this with anyone who believes music is more than just notes. What music moves your soul? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, keep listening, keep feeling, and keep exploring the unheard symphonies all around us. See you soon.